And we're live. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Solvable Mysteries Podcast. My name is Juras. This is episode number 122. It's a bit of a different episode because today I'm not joined by Glenn Highcove. The reason for that being is that currently I'm recording on a Sunday, but we did start a recording session yesterday on a Saturday, which is our regular recording time. And since my apartment is undertaking a construction, after 50 minutes of recording, we had to cut the show essentially because the drilling noises were spilling over into the recording session, and we wouldn't want to release that type of an episode for you guys. So essentially, we were like, okay, there's nothing we can do about it. Let's just skip a week because how our schedule works, we can't really regroup the following day because I'm gonna be doing the edits, making like the thumbnails, etc., doing Glenn's gonna be doing the metadata, etc. So we couldn't really regroup, but then I was kind of feeling bad and I really wanted to release at least something for the audience members. So this is going to be my sole one-man attempt of bringing you a podcast episode this week. And this week we have a very interesting case that I think I've personally digged deeper into this thing than I usually do into other cases, I would say, because it was so compelling. Without any further ado, we're going to be talking about the William Tyrrell disappearance. And for some of our old, not old, what am I saying? For some of our longer time listeners, you might remember that we have talked about this particular case on episode number 35 of the Solvable Mysteries podcast. And I did take a listen to it, and Glenn had like some really good points this week. So it's quite unfortunate that he cannot be on the show right now because I think he wanted to like reflect on the show, how it was done back then. But firstly, what I want to do, guys, I just want to play everyone the intro of episode number 35, and the intro is fire. Guys, just look at this. Okay, firstly, I just want to say that that intro music is so good now. I don't know, I kind of got the urge to like really try and use this for this episode. I'm not sure if I will be able to do that, you know what I mean? I am fairly time constrained, and finding those files might be a challenge. Now, the first thing I want to mention is if everyone who's listening to this, yeah, it might be a little bit awkward initially. So what we're looking at on the YouTube channel for everyone who's watching this right now, we are seeing that in the intro we have like this crazy old guy. I think this is Tony Jones, Anthony, nicknamed Tony Jones. So this guy, if you will look into a William Tyrrell case as it unfolds right now, you will literally not find this dude mentioned because I think he has been cleared. We did this episode, I believe, in March of 2020, and back then Tony Jones was still apparently a suspect, or like a person of interest, I would say. I don't really know his backstory. I honestly couldn't find that much information. Apparently a troubled dude. Apparently was also a, not necessarily a neighbor. I don't even know much about this guy. Maybe I'll like maybe we'll talk about this dude a little bit later on, but I promise you guys, there are some really interesting details coming out of this week's case. Now, the other dude, if you can see on this dope intro that I was doing back in the day. This is good old Bill Spedding, the same Bill Spedding who was 60 something at the time of William's disappearance. He was like some sort of a washing machine repairman. And how he got involved in this case was pretty much because I think, okay, so the general gist of William's disappearance is, his adoptive parents took him to his adoptive grandmother's home, and then the following day he was playing there with his bigger sister. The adoptive mother, stops looking at William, stops overseeing William for what she claims 5 minutes or something like that. And then William disappears, right? And why this dude, Bill Spedding, right here, is also, was thrown into the picture in 2015, the following year after William disappeared, because William disappeared in 2014, was essentially because this guy right here in the 80s, I'm not sure exactly when, but somewhere in the 1980s, he had sexual assault cases. Apparently, he assaulted a young girl, something like that. I'm not really sure, or young girls. I didn't really dig deep that much. And how he got involved is because just days before William disappeared, he was at the at the foster grandmother's home, apparently repairing a washing machine. So the detectives were like, "Yo, this guy has a criminal past. He was there. Let's look into him." Apparently, he checked out. He's not the guy. He's not responsible. So apparently, Bill Spedding is off the hook. Seemed like he was a low energy old dude. So I'm not really sure if he would really go and snatch like up, a little boy like William. Like, if anyone's gonna snatch up anyone, I feel like this guy. You know what I mean? Like Tony Jones. Like this guy looks like he's ready to go any moment. You know what I mean? Bill Spedding looks like he's looking to take a nap, you know what I mean? And then lastly, we have this guy right here, the old coot Paul Savage, the 70, now 77, I think, years old uh, neighbor. Apparently, he was the neighbor or something like that, and apparently he's innocent, but yeah, like he was like a really old, cranky dude, and apparently he checked out as well. So that's that with the intro, and let's jump to today's podcast. Okay, all right. Took a little bit of a breather. Recording on your own is definitely something I'm not really used to, so if I sound off slightly, you have to understand, guys, please. Okay, let's jump to what I have prepared. So initially, I had a pretty good structure of how I want to cover this case, and there's a bunch of stuff that we need to talk about today because now cops last week said that they are no longer focusing on any other persons of interest besides the mother. Okay, the foster mother. And this is pretty sick. This is pretty wild. Apparently, there's some speculation that the foster mother may have put William's body in her grandmother's in her mother's, so in William's foster grandmother's Mazda 3, then drove his body and like thrown it out and somewhere in the woods a kilometer away from the grandmother's house. And we're gonna jump into it, but I'm pretty sure there are audience members that have never even heard about William Tyrrell case. So just to do right by these people, I mean, I want to really go through William Tyrrell. So as you can see from the images, this is William Tyrrell. At the time of his disappearance, he was 3 years of age. He was born in Australia on 26th of June 2011. He had an older sister who was 5 years of age at the time of William's disappearance. William was in foster care at the time of his disappearance. However, his status as a foster child wasn't even confirmed to public until 3 years after he disappeared. And This situation like became a source of much confusion in the years to follow. What I'm trying to say here is that William William's family dynamics are very, very difficult to explain, but I'll try my hardest. Okay, so William has three siblings. He has two brothers and one older sister. Now, William and his older sister were adopted by his foster parents when he was 1 year of age, just a little baby. Now, his other two brothers are still in the custody of his biological mother, which leads us to his biological mother, Carly Tyrrell. We can see her on the screen right here. There's not a lot of information about Carly, and in fact, we haven't even known who this woman was for a long time after this case broke. Because of legal reasons, she couldn't be named. Now, William's other two brothers are still in her custody. This is William's father, biological father. His name is Brendan Collins. Now, this man is a troubled individual from what I'm gathering. He is now homeless. At least that's what one of the news stations are stating in their publications. Now, he has apparently been fighting substance issues like substance abuse, etc., etc. Him and William's biological mother have split up since I don't know when, but they're not together anymore. Apparently, this guy was also like in and out of jails, etc., etc. Going back to my notes to keep this as structured as possible. William was removed from his biological parents along with his older sister when he was still a baby. William's biological parents have split up, and they both share 4 kids in total, 2 of whom are still in the mother's custody. William's biological father has been in and out of jails and apparently now is homeless. My other notes state that he developed a drug habit and has been in and out of jail. Some relatives have described him as a, quote, career criminal in the past. William's biological mother has 2 other sons that remain in her care to this day. William's biological paternal grandmother has long been the face of the family, making public pleas for information that would lead to his safe return. So this biological paternal grandmother is apparently the mother of this dude right here, Brendan Collins, and she's been outspoken apparently about trying to get William back, right? Finding William. Now, William was adopted, right? And William's foster parents have never been formally identified to this day. This is his mother. We don't know her name, or at least I don't know her name. We don't even see her normal picture. Like, it's a picture of her, but her face is blurred out for legal reasons. So the foster parents had maintained a $141,000, that's Australian dollar, campaign to find their missing boy William Tyrrell. Now, police this week confirmed that they'd reviewed or received new information which led to the reinvigorated search, and William's foster mother has been singled out as a person of interest. Apparently, she's the sole person of interest right here. Now, more information about the foster mother. The foster mother now is apparently 56 years of age, and she was at home with her own mother and William's older sister when William is believed to have disappeared. Now, her husband, the foster father, was actually not in the house as William disappeared. He was still in the same little town of Kendall, because let's remember, William's foster parents took William and his older sister all the way from Sydney, Australia, to Kendall. And for everyone who's watching this on the map, I have these points on the Google Earth map dotted. So this is Sydney. Apparently, the foster parents live in Sydney, right? And the foster grandmother lives in a town called Kendall, which is this little location right here. This is the house. The house is on 48 Brenaroon Drive, right? And we have some definitely new things, new interesting points to discuss. As you can see, this is the new search area where apparently, from what I'm gathering, police believe that William's foster mother may have dumped William's body. From what I'm understanding, we'll be getting into it shortly. They're making findings every other day. The case is breaking as we speak. The foster parents are actually a couple of wealthy professionals from Sydney, and had the Tyrrell children in their custody for about 2 years before the tragedy happened and William disappeared. Gonna take a sip of water right now. Going back to my notes, in the years since William disappeared, the couple have spearheaded the official quote, "Where is William" campaign and made regular pleas for his safe return, right? So they have been trying to get to the bottom of this, but now the tables have switched and, now they're being investigated. In the, yeah, so in early September, and this was pretty interesting. In early September of this year, I believe, a leak from the New South Wales police source revealed cops, okay, so the Australian cops had zeroed in on a suspect, which prompted William's foster family to issue a statement downplaying these claims. So what's happening here is police say, we have a suspect, and the foster family is like on their Facebook page downplaying this. I believe this is so because the cops actually have the foster mother in mind when they say we have a suspect. And the quote from the foster parents on their online, I don't know, was this on Facebook? I don't know where this was, but I have the quote. Imagine waking up to an unsubstantiated article published by a large media outlet claiming a quote senior officer within New South Wales Police shared that they have a new person of interest, whilst inferring that this heinous crime is on the brink of being solved. Once again, we are forced to watch others objectify William for personal gain. Fake news causes more heartache for William's loved ones. Okay, so the foster parents are like, yo, don't like talk about your leaks, police. But we know that police is like, yo, shut up, foster lady. You know what I mean? Now, William's foster parents have both vehemently denied any involvement in William's disappearance. Alright, so when William disappeared on September 12th, 2014, he was playing in the garden of his maternal foster grandmother in the city of Kendall on the mid-north coast of New South Wales, right? This house is the weirdest structure I have ever seen. It's the most hidden place you'll ever see. From the Google Earth, right, imagery, we cannot even make out the house outlines because it's covered in trees. And if we go to the street view to take a better peek, right, let me just adjust it. It's covered in like trees, but we can see an outline. So as you can see, this house is very strange. It's almost like it is definitely built on a hill. So it starts out like with one floor, but then it kinda like is built downwards, like it's built on a slope of a hill, right? And that's the most annoying part here for us, is that we cannot really zero in on the place where William was last seen alive. Now, what am I talking about is that apparently, and this is for everyone who's listening to this, you're gonna wanna see this crap. Um, Apparently, now there are like allegations that the foster parents may have altered the images taken of William just before he disappeared. That this is pretty sick. These are the images, right? This is the first image that we have here. This is apparently taken just, I don't know, like 10 minutes before William disappeared. We can see William on some porch playing and drawing. He's wearing his little Spider-Man outfit. We can see that this right here is his older sister. I'm not sure who this is. I would assume this is maybe the foster grandmother. It's another picture of William. He's just having a good time playing. Still drawing, right? Drawing something. This is another picture of William. Now, this is pretty telling because if these pictures are in fact taken, how should I put it, way before, like multiple hours before he disappears, this is pretty shocking because that would mean that the foster parents would have at least 2 hours of William being unaccounted for, and they could have stashed the body. Now, I don't want to make any claims. This is all alleged as we speak now. To give you a better understanding of this house, because look, guys, if you would look at this picture right here, you'd be like, yo, where the hell is this place? Because on the Google, like, we're now looking at the porch. For everyone who's listening to this, we're now looking at the front porch, or like the back porch, or like the side porch. Who knows, like, which, like this, I don't know what kind of a geometrical like structure this house is, right? But you can see them on the porch. Now, if you would jump to the Google street view, we don't really see it. And if we would move a little bit down the street, so let me just move a little bit down the street for you guys. Over this corner, I know this is super weird for everyone who's listening to this. My utmost apologies, right? And look at this. This right here is the backyard, right? And some allegations are coming that William may have accidentally fell from like the balcony and died, right? Now look at how steep this thing is. From the other side, you would not tell that this structure is so steep. Now, going back to the images, where is this place right here that we can see in this image of William apparently 10 minutes before he disappears? Well, this actually is somewhere there, like somewhere there. We don't have any sort of Google Street View entry, but we do have some some additional maps on the YouTube channel here for you. I have prepared, guys, that might explain it a little bit better, right? So this is the house, right? This is the house. The house is, as I've said, Benaroon Drive for 48. It's a pretty big backyard, you have to agree. And you see, this area right here is exactly the porch that William was playing on. And we have another good image. See, this is a really good image. This infographic that we're seeing is amazing. I specifically remember showing this the last time that we recorded with Glenn on episode number 35. Now, as you can see, this is the porch area where those pictures have been taken. And a very good way to grasp like the structure even better. So if anyone, as I've said, like if you're listening to this, I don't know, it would be good if you would check this out, because look at this fence, right? Look at this fence with little holes, right? So this is the fence right here. And if we would jump to the map really quickly on the Google Street View to give you a better grasp, and I hope I hope it's like understandable what I'm trying to explain here. this right here is the same fence that we can see in this infographic. So if this is the fence, that means that this over the fence where we cannot see farther on the street view, the porch is located. So somewhere there is the porch, and the allegations, or at least the story that the foster family gave us is that apparently William and his older sister were playing hide and seek, right? So William was like doing his hide and seek routine, and apparently he would run down this little, hill on the run down this little slope on the hill, and he would hide in the extensive backyard. Now, there's also a theory that he maybe ran on this little platform that would lead him to the balcony, and he was wearing a Spider-Man suit. Apparently he liked Spider-Man. Spider-Man is like a dude that could like climb things pretty easily, so maybe he was thinking that he's also Spider-Man, and maybe he fell off the balcony or something like that, you know what I mean? And we'll take it from there. Another water break for me. All right, so where were we? So this is the house, right? This is the house. Going back to my notes really quickly when I finish what I have here on the profile section. So this property right here where the crime had occurred has since been sold, and the grandmother has died by now. I think she died like this year. On Wednesday, so last Wednesday, I believe, it was revealed that the Foster's grandmother's car was seized. Okay, I don't know if this car I think this car was like sold off already, so it wasn't really belonging to the grandmother. I think someone just bought it from the family. But the cops took that car. I'm talking about the Mazda 3. So this is the vehicle. This is from last Wednesday, guys. These pictures are of the vehicle being towed for police inspection. This is a silver Mazda hatchback, and the apparently, okay, let's read some more information about this. Officers tasked with solving the mystery of William's disappearance believe that this vehicle will give them answers. Daily Mail Australia understands that the Mazda hatchback was allegedly driven by the foster mother on September 12th, the same day when William disappeared, on the same morning when he disappeared. And, New South Wales police sources said officers believe an object may have been thrown from the vehicle as it was driven along Butter Road on Kendall. The area is the middle of a massive forensic police search, right? So I think it doesn't take a genius, to put two and two together, and this is it. This is another map infographic for you guys. So this is where William went missing on September 12th, and this is the new search area. And I mean, if you would put two and two together, you know what I mean, if the images were altered, if the images were taken 2 hours before William disappeared, those images where William is on the porch, and if the mother was actually seen, maybe by CCTV or something like that, driving past this area, I mean, I don't know, seems like she didn't tell this to the cops. I feel like if they have CCTV of the mother driving that silver hatchback somewhere, and if the mother didn't tell this to the cops as she was giving her statements initially, that would mean they caught her in a lie. This would mean that they're now solely focused on this person. But, more on that later on in the show. Really quickly going back to my notes here, the foster mother allegedly made the drive in her mother's car before her husband had returned to the house to join the search for William. So it's hazy. The police will not reveal many more details to us. And, I think at this point of the podcast, we're a good 30 minutes in. I think it's a good time to jump to my second section that I have prepared for you guys, which is the timeline section. So I'm going to go for another water break, sip some water, and I'll see you in like half a second. All right. We're back. We're back and we're rolling. So, okay, I want to jump to the timeline of events just to hash everything out even better for our audience members. Right, so William disappears on September 12th, 2014. Okay, apparently the situation was such that he was picked up from like kindergarten or whatever, I don't know, and was driven to the area, to the home of his foster grandmother. Apparently, sometime midway, the family stopped at the McDonald's the day before he disappeared. I think I have some pictures. So these are the pictures from the parents and the foster parents in McDonald's. I believe this is the foster father. This is the foster mother. I believe these little hands are of the older sister. This is William. William is seen at the McDonald's. He is sitting on top of his foster father's shoulders. Doesn't seem like an abusive family behavior. Seems like a very nice family cozy moment. William is like sitting cozily on top of his foster father's shoulders. Another image shows them arriving. If I'm not mistaken, this is night time, but maybe this is just like a weird little angle. I think this is like the area of McDonald's that is like outside of the actual indoors McDonald's, like the outdoor section of McDonald's, right? And we can see the family entering, to get some food in there. Now, 2005. Now he goes missing, right? September 12th, he goes missing. It's really crazy. The whole country is like paying close attention to what's happening now. 9 days later, on September 21st, an exhaustive search, a 9-day search involving hundreds of volunteers, state emergency services, the Rural Fire Service, and New South Wales Police authorities ends. Okay, the search ends, and they cannot find William anywhere. They searched the entire location. Now we can see from the Google Earth that the location is very wooded. It has a lot of woods here. Now, January 20th of the following year, 2015, good old Sleepy Bill is now a prime suspect, right? So he's a Kendall repairman. Kendall is that little town, right? So Bill Spedding is named as a person of interest in this case. Mr. Spedding was taken into police custody as detectives raided his home and businesses. While it's since been revealed he was wrongly targeted by police, at the time, police investigations revealed the washing repairman visited William's foster grandmother's home 3 days before his disappearance. Now, sure, he has a case of like sexual assault back in the 80s, but let's think about it. In the 80s, this dude wasn't that sleepy. Also, when he went to repair the washing machine, 3 days before William disappeared, William was not yet in the house. So when he went to fix the washing machine, I'm pretty sure he had no information whatsoever that William was gonna go there. You know what I mean? And just in general, it seems like police were really trying to find answers, because it had been quite a few months with no answers, and they were like, yo, we need to have someone responsible. And maybe they were like, okay, this guy looks like he's interesting, let's zero in on him. Apparently, like, it all, like, this whole situation wrecked this dude's business. And at least I hope that he at least got like some good lawsuit money out of this, because he definitely probably could have sued the police. Now, in April of the same year, 2015, a pedophile ring near the Kendall area, okay, becomes the a key line of inquiry in the disappearance of William Tyrrell. And the quote from Detective Superintendent Michael Willing was, quote, "We are vigorously pursuing this line of inquiry." 2015, they're thinking there's a pedophile ring, and someone snatched William. His other quote is, "We have recent information that we have received that relates to a pedophile ring that may be operating." That was the police line of thinking back then, that maybe there's a pedophile ring somewhere down there. Now, the following year, on September 12th, so I think 2-year anniversary of William missing, New South Wales government announced a $1 million reward for information leading to the child's return, whether dead or alive. To date, this is the largest reward every offer ever. Okay, this is a typo in the notes. This is the largest reward ever offered by the state to find a missing person. The previous record was a reward of $500,000 for Michelle Bright, a teenager who was found raped and murdered in 1999. Now, let's jump to 1 year in advance, to August 24th of 2017. This is when William was officially identified as a foster child. This was interesting because William initially was thought to have been not a foster child, just a regular child. So the foster parents were viewed as the biological parents, but then it has been released, that nope, he's a foster child. June 12th, 2018, the following year, a large-scale forensic search begins. Okay, so investigators launch a large-scale forensic search around the bushland near his foster grandmother's home where William disappeared. Police also said that over 700 persons of interests have been identified and over 4,000 pieces of evidence have been found. Okay, so they have found over 4,000 pieces of evidence. And this is where I have to ask someone in the comment section, like, what kind of things could they have found? Now, really quickly, I want to jump to the Google Street View for everyone who's listening to this, not watching on the YouTube channel. I just want to quickly describe the general vicinity of the foster grandmother's home. It's a very, like, wooded area. The foster grandmother's house is literally located next to a dead end. Seems like there's so much forests here. It's not completely out of the question for someone to potentially get lost in the woods, right? There's just a lot of woods. The roads look like they're sleepy roads. Not much action is happening on the roads. The neighborhood looks pretty quiet and calm. And police were scouring the general vicinity to find William, and from what I'm gathering, they had no success. Back in 2019, March 25th, a coronial inquest into William Tyrrell begins, right? And what does that exactly mean? I'm not quite sure. Some more information. A coronial inquest into William's disappearance begins. The inquest is overseen by Deputy State Coroner Harriet Graham and aimed to determine whether William had wandered off or was he taken. During the inquest, both his biological and foster parents were questioned. The same year, November 11th of 2019, new images are shared. So images are released of William and his foster family at a McDonald's the day before he disappeared. Shared during his coronial inquest, the CCTV footage showed the family of four at the Hearthbree, McDonald's near Newcastle at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday, September 11th, 2014. On October 7th, 2020, William's sister shares an emotional plea. So, William's older sister shares an emotional plea to authorities in the last day of his inquest. Her quote is, "I hope this speech makes you solve this case," said via a phone recording which was played in court. Her other statement is, "If it doesn't, when I'm officially adult, I will be in the police force, a detective specifically, and I will find my brother and not give up until he is found." Those are very nice words coming out of the older sister. March 7th, 2021. William's foster grandmother dies, right? So William's foster grandmother dies at the age of 88, and she's important. You know what I mean? She's important because she was the only other adult present when William disappears. So this is a very, very important person in this case, no longer with us, okay? RIP to her. She died at 88. She may have known more about this case. I guess she took that to the grave, or maybe she didn't, but the police will not tell us, right? Now, June 18th, 2021, coronial inquest, findings delayed. While this was the original date of the findings of William's coronial inquest was meant to be released. Okay, so this is when the findings were supposed to be released to the public on June 18th of this year. These findings were postponed, right? Now, June 26th, 2021, William Tyrrell's 10th birthday. Okay, marking what would have been William's 10th birthday, New South Wales police make a statement commentating their dedication to the case. And they said that we acknowledge that today marks another important milestone without answers for families, and as such, our focus remains on the investigation to find out what happened to William. They're still trying to find out, and this is where we get closer and closer. September 6th, 2021. Another person of interest is revealed. New South Wales police begin interviewing a new person of interest. Okay, now speaking to the Daily Telegraph, a senior police officer said this, quote, "shines a totally new complexion on what investigators believe happened to William." So this can only mean, in my opinion, that now the police is focusing on a potential accidental killing or potential accidental death of William Tyrrell. And those are two separate theories. Like, one is that maybe someone accidentally killed William, or other one is that William may have fallen off the balcony or ate something, etc., accidentally died, and then the foster mother covered it up. Now, this raises a million different questions. Moving forward to November 15th of 2021, police announce they have a new lead in the disappearance of William and will be searching 3 specific locations in the Kendall area where the 3-year-old disappeared in 2014. Quote, "We're going to be doing some operational activity in the Kendall area over the coming weeks," said Detective Chief Superintendent Darren Bennett, speaking to the media. His other quote is, "We're hopeful that it will take us a degree towards proving an offense or finding out what happened to William Tyrrell. We're very hopeful that we can bring this matter to some sort of conclusion. So the police is very adamant that they can find out what happened to William Tyrrell. And the key moment here, in my personal opinion, is that they said on November 15th, so just like what? Like seriously, like 6 days ago, as I'm recording, they have a new lead and they're searching this particular wooded area. For everyone who's watching this on the Google Maps, we're jumping to the Google Street View. This is the neighborhood. And my only possible line of thinking is that perhaps there is CCTV footage of the foster mother driving the foster grandmother's Mazda. And I mean, the cherry on top of a cake would be if there was actual footage of her throwing something out in there, or like having like a opening and closing her trunk potentially. God damn. We don't really know yet, but apparently this is the area where William is being searched for. Now, just to do a little bit of analysis on the general surroundings, for everyone who's listening to this on the podcast apps, not on the YouTube channel, I'm talking about a little road in rural parts of Kendall. It's very wooded, and I'm finding it hard to see like a lot of potential areas where CCTV could be placed. But honestly, I feel like any of these homes, because let's take a look at these homes, any of these homes that we can see may have had CCTV, and one of these owners may have reviewed the CCTV from September 12th, 2014, and maybe, just maybe, they have seen the grandmother, the foster mother, driving the vehicle somewhere here and potentially, shortly turning back. Because this area, for everyone who's listening to this new search area is around 1 kilometer away from the grandmother's home where William disappeared. So what if he didn't disappear? What if he's dead and the foster mother puts him in the trunk? And what if she drives a kilometer and stashes her, adoptive child's body, goes back? A lot of questions, and I have a lot of contradictions to this theory coming up. Stay tuned, guys. Things are gonna get very interesting very soon. Now, jumping to another day, jumping to November 16th, 2021, New South Wales police have a new suspect, okay? So a new theory emerges. In the search for William, it's reported a new suspect who cannot be named for legal reasons, the foster mother of course, has been identified and recently had a child removed from her custody and had an apprehended violence order taken out against her. So if I'm not mistaken, on November 16th, 5 days ago, William's older sister was removed from her foster mother's care, which is kind of weird. Why would they do that? Surely they have concrete details for such actions. I cannot see it any other way. Another water break for me, guys. All right, we're back, we're good. Now, the following day, November 17th, so just 4 days ago, investigators have seized the Mazda. The silver Mazda hatchback was taken from its current owners in Sydney. However, it's understood they're not connected to the case, the owners not connected to the case. New South Wales police are now undertaking forensic examinations to determine whether it was used to move William's body after his death. However, the process will take several weeks, okay? So We still have to find out about more details in this case. So this is the timeline. This is the finalization of my timeline section for this podcast. Now I want to quickly jump to the developments that are happening as we speak. Like as I'm telling you this, like police is combing this search area and they're finding all kinds of crap. So really quickly want to play you a news coverage of what the police managed to uncover so far from the new search area where it is believed that potentially the foster mother has dumped William's body on the day when he allegedly disappeared. So let's listen in, guys, to what the police have managed to uncover so far.
Detectives have found a small piece of blue material in scrub country as they continue their search for the remains of William Tyrrell on the mid-north coast. Today, a creek was drained and more soil put through an electronic sifter in the hunt for evidence.
A woman under intense pressure and scrutiny leaves her Sydney home this morning as the grim dig for the remains of her foster child, William Tyrrell, enters its fifth day 400 kilometres away at Kendall on the New South Wales mid-north coast. Police sift through soil, running small sections through a motorised sieve. They use excavators to remove debris. A creek, the new focus for today. It sits on the boundary of a small parcel of land they've been searching all week. Officers work to drain it before forecast heavy rains, which are threatening to halt the search in coming days.
What's the weather going to be like for you?
And a find, a small 8 by 8 centimetre piece of blue material in scrub. It's carefully placed in a brown paper evidence bag to be sent to forensic examiners. Any results of whether it is or isn't related to the case are likely to take several weeks. It's the first find of something that doesn't belong in the bush since these pieces of red string that brought the search to a momentary standstill 2 days ago, as everyone dared to think, could this be William? Detectives compared it with a sample Spider-Man suit seen being carried in these pictures. And while they ruled out a match, police sources have told 10 News First it could still turn out to be something of significance. Well, as you can see, these officers are working hard, and at the moment it is a thankless task, but they'll keep going, they say, until they get a result. As long as it takes, that's what's driving these guys at the moment. Officers also earlier in the week were digging up this garden bed at the Kendall home where William disappeared, as detectives investigate whether the toddler fell to his death from the balcony above. It's a slow and steady process that police are determined will be successful.
Well, Steve Hart joins me now live from Kendall. Steve, how confident are police of finding anything significant?
Well, good evening, Hugh. The police I've spoken to are quietly confident. They've come here with a mission, and that is to find the remains of William Tyrrell. As sad as that is, but it will bring a conclusion to this 7-year tragic story. Now, they've searched this area behind me. It's a parcel of land that they've pretty well gone right through it, down to a creek that we mentioned in the package there. They will cross over to the other side of the road at some point before moving another 600 metres up the road, which is back towards the foster grandmother's home. Fair bit of land to cover. They're willing for it, ready for it to take as long as it takes. It could be a number of weeks, Hugh, before they finalise that, but I do expect to find something significant in that time.
Okay, Steve Hart, thank you.
Okay, so this is pretty much it. Guys, want to quickly jump to the few things that they have found, and as we can see, they're draining the creeks. They're thinking that maybe William's body was stashed at the creek somewhere. And this is the first thing that they found. I want to quickly play this for everyone who's watching this. So since, we can only gauge what the police found from these like grainy zoom-in videos of what the police officers are like pulling out of the bushland, because the police won't tell us, but like news people have like covered it. And look, they're kind of look. She's kind of like, this is a police officer. It's a nice Apple Watch. Look, we don't see what exactly was found, but apparently it was put in like a paper bag, and she's like, okay, we found something. Okay, so we have this is like one of the more recent things. A blue piece of fabric was found, and let's remember, William Tyrrell was wearing a Spider-Man outfit. So, how does that make look? And this is another thing. This is a red string found before that blue, fabric was found, and it's like a little string, but also it's red. Okay, so I mean, right now it's looking interesting because like Spider-Man outfit consists of two different colors. That's a blue and that's red. And this is blue and red so far. Okay, now this is a string. Now from what I'm gathering, I I'm not sure if like his outfit, William's Spider-Man outfit would like leave such a string, but I mean anything right now is interesting. And these items have been sent for police examination. As I've said, I have a few more images. This is recent. Apparently a green, like a piece of green Haitian object or something like that, like a greenish color, has been recovered recently as well. So police are now finding stuff all over the place as they search for new evidence that could lead to answers being answered in this case. Since I'm done with the timeline and I'm done with the profile of this case, the last section that I would like to still talk about before we, I guess, jump to the theories is the details, interesting little details in this case. Okay, so I've already talked about the new findings in this search area, so that pieces of red string, a piece of small blue material, and a piece of green Hessian or Haitian, I don't know what that is, recovered from the dirt. So 3 pieces have already been recovered from the area. In my personal opinion, it's unlikely that any of them will be proven to be related to William's disappearance, but only time will tell. We have around 2 weeks until we get that information now. Now, I want to quickly jump to what happened recently. So, it has been confirmed in Channel 7 report, some sort of a news outlet from Australia, that in the 7 years since William disappeared, the back garden has never been searched, right? And we have this image right here. They're searching the back garden. They're like trying to find any pieces of William, you know what I mean? And for everyone who's listening to this, the police are actually searching below that pretty tall balcony, right? So police are combing the area. They have searched it, and I don't think they released if they found anything, but I think what they may be potentially looking for here is like a piece of blood or some sort of fabric, like, you know what I mean? Like some sort of indication that maybe William was hurt here. I don't think the intention here is to see if William was buried here, because I mean, that's like, I'm pretty sure it's not the case, but like any sort of indication that maybe William fell off the balcony and maybe there's some evidence still to be found. So they're combing the area for these details. Now I want to quickly jump to an interesting little detail that kept me really thinking, and that's, I want to jump to Gary Jubilin. So if you're from Australia, you're probably aware of who Gary is, right? So Gary is the detective, the former detective in the case of William Tyrrell's disappearance for, reasons that I don't want to get into right now. He was, how should I put it, like, I'll just say discharged from that case, right? Because he made questionable decisions in the investigation. But now I've listened to his interview yesterday, and I found one little detail from that interview very interesting. Now, he said that while he was still in charge of the investigation, he had actually implanted a listening device into the foster parents' vehicle. And after hearing what the foster parents had to say while they were being listened in on because police were conducting a covert operation on the foster parents. Gary Jubilin said that the findings from that listening device made the police believe that foster parents had nothing to do with the disappearance. So this means that the police have actually listened in on the foster parents as they were having their private conversations inside of their vehicle, and this would mean that at least in private, as long as they have been listened in on, they had not released any damning, you know what I mean, audio. Like they didn't talk about like, did you make sure to cover up the crime well or anything like that. So this is one of the key details here, because if that's the case, then we have to really put two and two together here. And what this would actually mean, this means that the foster mother and the foster father, they must have gotten their story straight, if that makes any sense. Like they probably were like, okay, the police are probably listening in on us. Let's never describe the real events of September 12th. Never, because you never know when you're gonna be listened in on. You know what I mean? So maybe that's what's happening here. And lastly, before we jump into the potential theories in this case, I would like to talk about the few other points in this case. As you can see from the images on the YouTube channel, you may be already thinking of what I'm thinking, and what I'm showing is on the image for everyone who's listening to this on the YouTube channel, that apparently the photographs taken of William, you know, moments before he disappeared, may have been altered, okay? And we can see it from this image right here. I don't know what this image is, but apparently this is what the police have been looking into. And we can see that the images of William playing on the porch alongside his older sister were actually created on September 12th, 7:37 a.m. in the morning, but they have had their times corrected at 9:35 a.m. in the morning, which would leave 2 hours for, okay, so this picture must have taken, okay, so first of all, I want to say 7:37 a.m. for a 3-year-old and his older sister is a 5-year-old is, I don't have kids, so maybe someone in the, you know, in the audience who have kids, like, is this a normal time for little kids to be super active and playing and stuff like that at 7:37 a.m.? I think it's definitely a normal time, you know, just an idea I had in my head. Probably nothing really to look into there. Now, if this is the case, if the foster family somehow did alter these pictures and the real timestamp of them are 2 hours earlier, this would mean that the foster mother had 2 hours to work with, you know what I mean? Or allegedly 2 hours of unaccounted time that police didn't really know about. But then again, how credible is this information? I can't really verify, because I'm pretty sure the Australian police must have looked into the images, given that this was at one point, and probably still is, the most compelling and the most talked about missing child person case in Australia, I believe, like alongside Cleo Smith recently, you know. So I think the police may have checked this little detail out even earlier, but who's to say, right? What if they haven't? And what if this is actually only coming out right now? And maybe this thing is the lead, you know, who knows? But the lead in the case that, you know, police are saying now we're pretty confident we can solve this case, maybe this is the reason why they're being pretty confident, if you know what I mean, guys. So this is the one other thing I wanted to bring up. I'm not gonna get into the details because, god damn, we went into these like details on the Chris Kremers and Lisanne Froon case with Glenn, and it didn't turn out all that great. I'm not gonna lie, the last time we tried to tackle the technical side of these things, I'm just gonna leave this information out, and everyone wants to look into this, you could just Google more information about the pictures taken of William allegedly before he disappeared. And at this particular point in time, I would like to jump to the theories of what may have happened to William, and this is actually quite quite unfortunate that we don't have Glenn, because with Glenn it's really good to go over the theories, especially because Glenn usually like gives his take, and he like has different angles that he's covering usually. So I just want to go through a few of the previous suspects previously. So one of them was Bill Spedding, as I've said, the repairman whose career and personal life has been like completely destroyed by the police, essentially, because Gary Jubilin was like interrogating him, and then videos of him getting interrogated have been released. So his whole washing machine repair business probably went down the drain. Apparently he's now not they don't think he's responsible. There's the creepy neighbor, allegedly Paul Savage. This guy right here, I think he's a little too old, and apparently he was also cleared, but he looks like he's a grumpy old guy, but seems like he still has some juice in him. So I think physically he may have had the ability to do so, but since the police are not talking about him anymore, I would probably think that he's no longer responsible, right? Then we have this guy right here. This is Anthony Jones, like the same dude from my episode number 35 intro edits. Like, this is that aggressive dude rushing to the camera. Seems like he doesn't really take any other pictures. Looks like this is his natural pose, right? I have some more information about the guy. I want to quickly read an article a little bit, because this dude was like the biggest mystery, because I kind of remember Paul Savage and I kind of remember Bill Spedding. I don't really remember that much information about Tony Jones. One of the interesting articles I'm reading here on the Weekend Australian, the headline says, William Tyrrell inquiry. By the way, this is from 2020, March 10th, 2020. So, person of interest, Tony Jones, is described as, quote, putrid dog and hooked on speed, I think by his sons or something like that. So that these people are not having like a really happy dandy family dynamics. Dude looks like he has some personal issues, maybe some anger management issues as well. He has been described by one of his sons as a putrid dog, and by another as a lowlife who stole from his kids, but there is still no known evidence to link pedophile Anthony Keith Jones, okay, so he's a pedophile, to the disappearance of William Tyrrell. Okay, probably not like the nicest dude to have in your neighborhood. Given evidence at the court or something like that on Tuesday, Jones said he could not account for his movements on September 12th, 2014, the day when William disappeared, because he was likely drunk. So he doesn't remember what he was doing. He is one of a string of local sex offenders who have been or will be called to give evidence during the coronial inquest into William's disappearance. Detectives have not yet revealed what, if any, evidence they have to link these persons of interest to the case. Okay, so apparently this is just one of the, local sex offenders who got allegedly connected to the case, but police, from what I'm gathering, have not released any information what could potentially leave this putrid dog to the disappearance of William Tyrrell. So I guess if the police is not focusing on him, I would probably guess there is good reasoning to lay off this guy. But out of all of the potential suspects, I think, or at least people that we know or have previously talked about, this dude definitely looks like he has the energy and the will to snatch up a little kid. Bill looks like he's, just about to take his third nap of the day, and Paul Savage is way too old, in my opinion. So, there goes the typical suspects. The pedophile ring. The pedophile ring in the Kendall area, I did look into it a little bit, and I didn't find anything, to be honest, of interest that would make me think that maybe there's some sort of a pedophile ring in the Kendall area. And obviously now this leaves us with the main theories that police are now looking into. This is where what has been, this whole episode has been building up towards these few theories. So let's go in. Okay, so this is the point of the podcast where I would really like Glenn's take on this, but I think I have the general gist written down as well. So the first theory is that William somehow accidentally dies, maybe potentially from a fall from the balcony, and then the foster parents cover it all up. So this is the first theory. Now, this already gives me a lot of questions. Like, for instance, the first question is, why do you want to cover up an accidental death? Let's say William goes onto this little balcony that we can see on the Google Street Images, accidentally falls down and, dies, maybe has some sort of a injury, breaks his neck, I don't know, whatever, right? Like, if he dies in such a manner, are the foster parents who had the kid for 2 years and apparently they've been happy and probably nothing bad has been coming out of that family, are they facing jail time over that? You know what I mean? So this is very, very difficult for me to grasp, and I've talked about this particular case with a few other, let's call, or at least one other contributor of the podcast. Let's call that person like that, and we've kind of talked about it. And let's just put it in this way. We both kind of felt that it's kind of weird how the parents would potentially hide an accidental death. And this leads us to a bunch of other questions, like what was the grandmother thinking? Like, the grandmother probably had to okay the cover up, you know what I mean? Then also let's talk about the older sister. The older sister was 5. I think a 5-year-old can already remember things. I think I would remember my brother dying if I was 5. I think this kind of a memory would stick with me. I don't think I would just forget about it. So there's a lot of questions here, but then again, let's remember the fact that the older sister now was saying that she's gonna become a police officer, etc., etc., and she's gonna try to find what happened to William. So I think she doesn't know, or she either doesn't remember, or she hasn't seen William dead. Because why would she be making those statements that, I'm gonna go to become a detective and I'm gonna find my brother, if you already know that he's dead and your foster mother has stashed him somewhere in the woods? You wouldn't be making these statements. That can only mean one thing: that she hasn't seen it, or William, if he accidentally died from a balcony fall, she has not seen it. Maybe the mother was like, yo, keep the older sister occupied. I'm gonna stash the body. I'm gonna come back. We're gonna tell her William's being snatched. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Go time. Maybe this is what the foster mother was doing. Who knows, right? But now this leads us to another theory that I think I would be leaning more towards, that William was accidentally killed by the foster mother. Okay, why not the older sister? Because older sister doesn't remember, and I think she would remember killing her younger brother. The granny, I think if the granny killed the foster kid, I mean, how first of all, how would she even kill William? And if she did, I think the foster mother would be like, well, granny, you know, it is what it is, and you know, you're gonna have to go to jail for a few years. Or she maybe wouldn't even go to jail. So I think the granny, she probably didn't kill. But now the foster mother accidentally killing William, how? I got no idea how, but you know, if she accidentally killed him somehow, then she would probably have the motive to stash the body. But this is where one very interesting detail comes into place: is the foster father. He was in Kendall, but he was doing some business in Kendall, like somewhere outside of the house. And I mean, if the foster mother accidentally killed William, then she would have had to call the foster father and quickly tell him, yo, I just killed him accidentally. I'm gonna stash him somewhere in the woods. You know what I mean? We have to like really team up now. We have to get our story straight. And the foster father would be like, what? You know what I mean? You did what? And then also like corroborate like a fake story and cover up the crime. It's a hard ask. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a hard ask. So you know, that like the line of thinking that someone in the family is responsible, or at least that the family covered up William's disappearance. I know that the police are really focusing on this, and maybe if they would release exactly the details that they think will lead to this conclusion, maybe I would be like believing in the story a bit more. But just from looking at it right now, like I see so many holes in the story, mainly the older sister not seeing where that William is dead. Second thing is, I don't think that the foster parents, I mean, they could, but it's a really hard thing to keep this a secret. They have been interrogated, etc., etc. So I'm not really sure if they could keep this a secret for so long. I don't think they would go as far as to alter the images of the pictures taken of William before he went missing. As I've said, I'm not like a technician of pictures, so I don't really know. Maybe that actually does break the case, but if it doesn't, then who knows, right? Maybe that's just some glitch in the camera. I don't know. And yeah, essentially just if William died accidentally, I don't really see the necessity to cover it up. You know, just report it to the police, and you know, I don't know, like what's the worst that would happen to them? I'm not really sure. And now this leads us to go back to our first initial line of inquiry that police have done, is about the two sighted vehicles parked in the general vicinity. And I'm talking about none other than the two cars from this infographic here on the YouTube channel. You could really look into it if you would like to see what I'm talking about right now. We can see an infographic of the map, and this is apparently where two vehicles have been spotted, right? Two cars that were seen parked on the dead-end road on the morning Tyrrell disappeared. The cars, described as a white station wagon and as an older style gray sedan, were parked between the driveways of the acre lot of land. So apparently somewhere here. And I've heard investigators talk about this situation, and I think I have the sketches of those cars. Let me just try to locate those vehicles. These are the vehicles. These are the vehicles that were apparently seen parked. And the investigators said that there is absolutely no logical reason for two vehicles to be parked like this. Okay, there it makes no sense for vehicles to be parked in this little area because you would, if you are there for a reason, you would probably park at someone's front yard. You would not just park outside of the street like that, because this is a dead-end road. Why would two vehicles be parked here as well? Now, one of the reasons why this is now looking like maybe not a real sighting is because, according to like what I've read and to my understanding, these vehicles were sighted by none other than the foster mother herself. Okay, so the foster mother made this sighting. So if the foster mother made this sighting, there's a chance she lied about this just to throw in a red herring, just to get some of the attention off of her if she potentially stashed William's body, right? So I don't know, I don't necessarily want to get into any more details of this particular incident, but the very last thing that I want to talk about is an old dude called Ronald Chapman. So this is a dude, Ronald Chapman, right? And he claims that he saw William in a vehicle being driven past his house. Okay. Ronald Keith Chapman told the New South Wales Coroner's Court he was 100% certain he had seen William in his Spider-Man suit standing in the back of a car being driven erratically down the street on the morning of the boy's disappearance. He said William was unrestrained, had his hands to the glass, and was peering out. He said the driver was a woman aged in her mid-20s to mid-30s with blonde hair piled into a bun on the top of her head. Quote, "Do you think in fact you saw William Tyrrell?" Consul assisting Gerard Cardock asked. "I do, yes," Mr. Chapman replied. And we have an infographic. So this is like the Benaroon Drive. This is the street, the road where, little William went missing. And this is another street in Kendall, the Laurel Street, where Ronald Chapman says he saw William standing in a car being driven erratically. This line of inquiry is like from 2019. Apparently, police took their sweet time getting to Ronald Chapman. Ronald Chapman is an old dude. He may have been seeing things. You know what I mean? But he is adamant. He says, I've seen him 100%. So, Ronald Chapman's sightings would potentially lead us to believe that William was in fact kidnapped. Well, who knows really what happened? I mean, this is exciting times for everyone, for the, biological parents, and for the foster parents if they're innocent. But, now it's looking like they may not be that innocent. And at this point, since I don't have anything else to talk about, I would like to close off the podcast. Guys, if you enjoyed this show, please comment on it. Please tell me that what I did good and what I didn't do that well and what I could improve upon, right? And most importantly, tell us, what do you think happened to William Tyrrell? This case is breaking. Maybe down the line, a few weeks from now, we will get a conclusion in this case. When we talked about this case back in 2020, March, it seemed like there's no way this thing is gonna get ever solved. Now we have a whole new outlook for this case. Everyone is pumped. We're about to get to the bottom of this case, hopefully. And you know what I mean? We're gonna stay active on this case. We're gonna keep you posted if anything is coming out of this case. I would like to thank everyone who sticked with me today. I know the episode was definitely not usual, but hopefully you guys still enjoyed. Everyone who's listening to this, I would greatly appreciate if you would jump on our YouTube channel and maybe leave a subscribe. That would make us very happy on the Solvable Mysteries podcast. And without any further ado, guys, I really hope you will have a awesome, excellent rest of the week. We will catch you on the next week's episode. As always, stay safe and peace out.